everyone, and welcome back to Morning Cup. Thank you so much for joining. Today, I have Arianna Bradford with me, and I am really excited because she is a ADHD productivity coach for business owners, and she is going to introduce herself now, but thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. So like Caroline said, I am an ADHD productivity coach. I mainly work with business owners. And the way that I got here was quite by accident. I actually used to be more of a mommy blogger type. Um, and things just kind of kept changing over the years, where at first I was mostly talking about parenting, but then 2020 kind of came through and I felt like I really wanted to use the eyes that were on me, um, as a way to talk about, a lot of the racial inequality that was going on in the United States. And then that changed a little bit just into me kind of switching between being funny, being honest, and just being out and out angry. and, you know, it was a very weird situation for me in that I have, despite what other people may think, I've always been tired. I've always been, and not tired like sleepy, but just my mind was always racing, but my body was always tired. And I just never seemed to be able to get enough sleep to satisfy that, to feel like I had energy. And I had a last straw moment, I think, as most of us do. And I had actually, up until that moment, been looking up uh, information on ADHD for my son. And every time that I was looking things up, it sounded like they were talking about me. And I was like, well, this is kind of rude. So I could have probably gone and gotten looked at beforehand, but I really was like, well, it's not making any difference in my life. It's not damaging me in any way. Why should I get checked? And I think a lot of us tend to tell ourselves that because there's still a stigma going on with ADHD in a lot of ways. And so I was under the impression, I just kept saying, well, it's not messing with my life. It's not messing with me in any way. Even though it was, in ways that I hadn't realized. My husband and I really didn't have a lot of tension between the two of us, but one of the biggest was that he did most of the chores and I didn't really get it done. And to him, it seemed like I didn't want to try, but to me, it was, I was thinking about it. I wanted to, but I couldn't seem to make myself do it. So the last straw was, I was looking up something in regards to fatigue because I was tired again. And I was just like, there's got to be a reason why I am tired all the time. I don't understand. And I found out that fatigue can be connected to ADHD in a couple ways. It can be connected in terms of chronic fatigue syndrome, which turns out I have, or it can just be a matter of your brain making you tired because it's always going, going, going. So that was a pretty quick progression after that. I wound up getting in touch with a local area, really, a local group of people in my area who also included people who evaluated people with ADHD. Very quickly got evaluated, was found to have the combined type, but mainly inattentive. And I was starting medication within about a week. And I remember that first week that I started medication, I actually cried my second day because not only had I had the energy to get things done, but I wasn't thinking about things and then sitting there forever unable to do them. I was suddenly able to think about something and get to it. And since then I've run into a lot of things about ADHD and about adult ADHD and about the way that the world views ADHD that I know helped me when I was trying to find somebody who understood. And so I have started talking about that. And the productivity part came in because I realized that despite having ADHD, I have done quite a few things. I have been able to make the time and find the time to do quite a few things, write books, produce podcasts, do social media posting in a way that, works for me, in a number of different ways. And I realized that I found out I had ADHD and started thinking methodically and was able to come up with a way of living my life that still allowed me to continue to keep doing those things I wanted to do, but left me, still satisfied at the end of the day. And I was like, I know that there are a number of us out there who could probably use help with that. So yeah, that's suddenly I had actually at first been like, yeah, I'm just a digital business consultant. And then I was like, well, I'm more of a social consultant. And then suddenly I was just like, no, I want to help people with ADHD. And I realized that unlike consulting, I can't just come in, do something and leave. I have to keep up with people. So I finally added the coach part to it. And here I am. And I love it. And I'm constantly still learning, but it's something that I think is so important because I think that a lot of us still rule ourselves by what other people define as productivity instead of what the definition should be for people like us.
I love that you said all of this because I do think, it's so important that when you are struggling to ask for help, but being able to get the resources you needed to really be able to identify what was going on for you. Because I think a lot of adults go through life not knowing what's really going on and being exhausted or being disorganized. Or I have a lot of friends that were adults that didn't get diagnosed until later. And it's not a sentence, it's more of being able to understand what's going on in the brain and how it's affecting your body, how it's affecting your day to day, and having somebody who's been through it. But I love that you added the productivity because a lot of times there's a stigma attached to it. And breaking that stigma of how you can get so much done, it's just being able to find a way that works best for you. And whether that's medication or not, or whether that's just having somebody who's been through it. And that's a huge part of coaching, that you've been through a similar experience. Obviously, everybody has a slightly different experience, but being able to really understand the depth of it as an adult too. I mean, because I've never heard of anything in regards to attaching ADHD and productivity together coaching wise. So this is why I think it's so unique and it's your own spin on it, but how many people you're able to help. And what does that look like coaching, like since you've been doing this, and I know you've transformed in your journey as well, which I love. But has it been like since you've been really coaching in this area for you?
It has involved, honestly, so much mindset changing, just as much, because the problem I think with a lot of us is that we tend to only think ADHDers are very visual and physical. We tend to think in terms of, well, my productivity would get better if I could just get up and do things, without realizing that, well, yeah, but if you could just get up and do things, then you wouldn't have ADHD. Like you're kind of forgetting that there's a chicken or egg situation here, know? And so there's a lot of having to explain to people. First, you need to get out of your head that the way that you produce has to be the same as everyone else in order for you to be productive. And I have learned this doubly since, realizing that the chronic fatigue portion came in, because I have days where I can tell, because I have started paying attention to my energy, I can tell that if I push myself too far, I will crash. And if I crash, I am useless for up to a week. So it has started to come to the point where I have to understand, okay, I only have this energy to work with, and I only have this brain to work with. Now I can buck against it and fight against it and get mad at myself because I'm not able to do all of the things that I want to do. And I'm not like my husband who has crazy energy. Or I could understand, this is the energy I have, this is the brain I have, and therefore I need to work with it. And it's really interesting that we're having this conversation because I just posted something about this on TikTok and Instagram, because a person had said, they asked it, and I don't have the exact wording, but it was something along the lines of, there's this tightrope that you have to walk with ADHD. And how do you navigate that tightrope of, not being able to do things because of your ADHD, not feeling like you're making excuses because you're saying you can't do it because you're ADHD, and productivity. And I kind of went into this and I basically said, first off, you have to understand that those of us with ADHD, like 99% of us, obviously I'm pulling that number out of my butt, but I'm pretty sure it's a pretty high number of us, okay, grew up being told that a lot of our ADHD symptoms were a problem that we needed to solve. And so we grew up hearing, my brain won't let me do something is an excuse. I am too tired is an excuse. I'm not able to focus. It's an excuse. So we automatically have been conditioned to believe that our ADHD is an excuse. And it's not. It's not an excuse. It is a legitimate situation. Our brains work differently. That is the truth. That is the fact. And so instead of arguing with that and fighting with that and consistently trying to say, well, if I could just fix this about myself, I'd be great. You only have one brain. Like this is the only brain you've got. So instead of trying to fight it and change it, what I'm spending a lot of time doing is teaching people how to work with it, and how to say, okay, well, if your brain doesn't want to work at 10 a.m. or doesn't want to work until 10 a.m. and you have that option, which they usually do because they are business owners, then make sure that you're doing a bunch of little round the house things, or, make it so that your coffee time is right before then or something like that, and get started at 10. Don't try to fight your brain to be ready by 7. If it's not ready by 7, it won't be ready by 7. And all you're going to do is be disappointed in yourself for not being able to make yourself into a completely different person. So all of that, very long answer to say that that's basically, what a huge part of my job has been. Like, I help people put processes into place, and I help people plan things, and I help people do all those other things. But I also spend a lot of time trying to tell people, hey, what you're doing is what's right for you. And that's what you need to be paying attention to, not whether or not you're matching up to, some random person down the street.
Absolutely. I love that you said that at the end too, because it's really about doing what's best for us in every aspect. Doesn't matter if we have ADHD or not, like just being able to do what's best for us. But I want to go back to what you said in the beginning about just really acceptance that our brain chemicals are different, and that's okay. Like everybody, there's a lot of different stigmas out there, but especially around mental health, and knowing that everybody has something different, and that's okay. It's absolutely okay. It's just working with what you have and understanding how to navigate that. And I love that's exactly what you do for your clients, because I do think it's important and imperative to know. It's great to have symptom or let's get it out there, but having processes and actual systems in place of what's happening for you, for your client, being able to work through that. But there's going to be days that not everybody wakes up at 5 a.m. and gets going. Like I am one of those people, but I know a lot of my friends that are business owners as well like to get up later because they're night owls, or it's working with what makes sense for you. But sometimes it's just knowing that it's okay to do that. You don't have to be like Sally and Bob down the street. Like it's being who you are and understanding there isn't a problem with you. It's something that you were born with, and it's working with that. And how do you make that the best solution for yourself? And it's not fixing a problem, it's just finding a solution to working with what you have. And I love that's exactly what you do, because I do think it's not talked about enough.
It's not at all. I feel like, part of the reason why I was so drawn to the productivity thing is, first off, I'm a nerd. Like I realized that like when I was setting up prizes for myself at the end of the day, or like being like, I'll give myself a prize, it was like, I'm going to watch this video on YouTube about how to make your calendar really pretty, and then I'm going to do it for 30 minutes, like that was my gift. And I was like, I don't know that most people would choose that, but so there's that. But there's also the fact that, I was drawn to it because I have like this weird, I don't know if I would call it a hobby, I guess, where I'm really into like self-help apps. Like I love playing with them, downloading them and seeing, how they do. And without fail, I would find a productivity app that I fell in love with. And then it was just very unfriendly to brains like mine. Like it would basically act like oh, the only reason that you're not getting this done, it's totally on you. It's all your fault. 100% this is your choice whether to blah 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 blah. And it's like, okay, but no, or I would look at productivity TikToks, and they would say things like, a great way to start productively: get up at 5:30, go on a run, make breakfast. And I'm like, hold on a second. Okay. Yeah, for some people that might work, but for the average ADHDer, half of that stuff might not be doable for you. And if you are just saying, well, this is the way you're going to start a productive day, they don't do that. They're going to be like, well, the rest of my day sucks then. I guess I'm not going to be productive.
Right.
And yeah, so, I got really kind of sick of seeing this particular attitude towards productivity. I felt like it was teaching us that there is only one way to be productive, and that is to smash your to-do list and to get everything done and to leave nothing for tomorrow. And I was like, I leave things for tomorrow all the time. Okay.
Most humans do.
Yeah, I leave things for tomorrow all the time. And I get more done than I think most people would. So it's absolutely not true. And it's not neurodivergent friendly, and it's damaging to what we expect of ourselves. And I mean, it's hard to watch, because some of the most creative people I know who come up with some of the coolest business ideas are ADHD people, but they slam themselves because they'll be like, oh, well, I'm no good at finances and therefore I suck. And it's like, that doesn't mean that you're bad at the rest of it. That just means that we need to figure out something to help you with the fight. So it's just all of that to say, no, I don't think it's talked about enough. And that's why I said, I've always been one of those people where if I don't see something, I want to be that change. And this was something that I could change. So here I am.
I love it. And yeah, absolutely. It is making that change. And I think it's showing too, there's more than one ways to doing something. And just like even with the productivity piece, like when somebody's going on a diet, for instance, not every diet's going to work for everybody, and because everybody's body chemistry is different, just like our brain chemistry is different. There's still so much we don't know about the brain. And being able to understand a little piece of that, of knowing, okay, well, I don't need to get up at that 5:30 mark, but I can get up later. I can do everything that is a priority to me that day. And no, we're not going to get everything on our to-do list. I know I don't either. There's always something to be done, especially as a business owner. There's like, you do one thing, there's 100 more things to do.
Always.
You
can literally be working 24/7 and still not be done. That's impossible. Absolutely.
So right here, you heard the disclaimer.
You will always be busy. Always.
As long as you're in business. It's true. But I think the biggest part of that is understanding that it's knowing what your priorities are and getting the main things that need to get done that day, and not being so hard on ourselves. Because I think and I'm hearing you say it too, there's no sense of compassion sometimes for ourselves, of like, especially I'm sure the people that you work with as well, of, well, I need to do this. We're our own worst critics sometimes, because we want to be able to achieve so much especially when it comes to productivity. But knowing that when we are a little bit more forgiving of ourselves, and knowing that there is no perfection, like it does not exist, and it's never going to exist. If it does, and I always say this, I'm like, I would love to meet someone who is perfect, because they don't exist. They really don't.
They do not exist. Even the people that you look at who you think are perfect, I guarantee you that person's got something. And we don't, and I always try to temper this by saying, I don't like hoping that people have things wrong, because sometimes people will be like, oh, she's rich, but I'm sure she's unhappy. And it's like, why do you want to hope somebody's unhappy? Like, leave them be. But my point being, and your point being, I think that we need to stop feeling like there's something wrong with us for having something wrong with us, whatever that is, whether that's that you're terrible at time management, or you're terrible at prioritization, or you get bored easy, or, you hate making things at home and you tend to buy food out, like whatever it is, that there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got something wrong everybody. And it's not really fair to yourself to expect yourself not to.
Absolutely. No, it's true. It's true. When it comes to just knowing that everybody does have something that they're going through, it's a roller coaster and it's a journey. There's no, okay, this is one way and it's going to be like this for the rest of our lives. And I'm sure like just even like living situations, like I just moved to Colorado in July. You moved to Costa Rica not too long ago.
And we're actually about to move again this weekend, not out of Costa Rica, but we've been renovating a house. And the house is pretty much done. So we're going to be moving into the renovated house this weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I remember you talking about that when that was happening.
Yeah, it's been a long like 4 or 5 months, and they're still not technically done. It's just done enough that we can move in. So I'm looking forward to kind of having my own space and no more stairs and a dishwasher.
The things that we like take for granted sometimes.
I miss a dishwasher so badly. It sounds so like bougie, but oh my God. Can't wait.
No, it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
I'm gonna
especially when there's more than one person in the household.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You wash a dish, and if you miss a day, it's every dish in the house. And it's just like I don't understand. Anyway, that's not the point. I'm really good at diverting conversations. It's my talent.
It's all good. It's all good. So I do have a question though, because a lot of mom entrepreneurs watch this, and being a mom yourself, how has that played a part with your business? And I know you have 2 beautiful children, but how has that played a part in just your journey of as being an entrepreneur and being able to integrate the two, life and
Well, I mean, on some levels, I know that I have certain things that make me pretty lucky. For one, my kids are in school during the day, so I am able to get some time while my children are at school. For another, I have a partner who is pretty involved. And so, I'm lucky enough that if I've got an important phone call or an important meeting, that I can talk to him and we can work together in the morning to make sure that I have that time. And it's the same thing with like if I have a crash or if I'm having, an anxiety attack or if there's something like that, I'm very lucky in that I have that support. Because I do definitely try to make it so that my day ends at a certain point every day. And, me and my kids, I'm not really, obviously because of like the energy thing and a couple of things, I'm not really a person who will be like, and then we run around and we go for like a family walk or we go for like a hike or whatever. We don't do that, but generally we'll sit together and we'll talk about the day, or if we're really kind of tired, we'll play video games or watch a movie together or something like that. And I try to make sure that I have that time within my day. And it has made it so that I am able to make that time, because time management has become such a huge part of my life in general that I've gotten to the point where I, have been able to do that. And it's also helped me to better understand my son. Like I understood him pretty well anyway, because he's basically me at his age, except way more energetic than I was. But, it's kind of started to help me understand when there are certain moments where it seems like he's acting out and it's like, this isn't acting out, this is executive dysfunction. Or, he seems like he took that really hard, but that's because he feels rejected and we're very sensitive to rejection. Or he's talking a lot, but that's because his brain is moving a mile a minute and we just need to slow it down. Or he's touching this, but he doesn't mean to be. It's because he fidgets when he talks, which is something I also tend to do. So, it's helped me to better explain things to my husband. It's helped me to better kind of figure out different ways to work with my son. And that's not to say, that I have it perfectly down either. I want to make that clear. Like I definitely have days where my son's doing something like, what is wrong with you? Right. Or, I have days where I underplan or overplan, but most of the time, like I want to say a really high percentage of the time, it has helped me to better understand my kids, and it has helped me to better make time for my children, which is also extremely important. So all of that.
Yes, no, it is important. And I think too, just your son's lucky to have a mom like you that it does understand, that does give that space too, because it can be really challenging. And not to say that parents that don't have it, like, don't
Yeah,
understand or can't navigate it, but I think there's just a level of understanding that's a lot deeper. And being able to get really creative and find different ways and being able to be that support system and also then explain it to your partner as well, being able for him to understand too. I think that's just really something very special that maybe not everyone has that experience or knows how to do that or gives that space, even if that individual has or experiences that, maybe not being able to relay that to their children or be able to navigate that. So I think that's really inspiring too that you're able to do that.
thank
So I just
you.
wanted to, yeah, I just
I
wanted to highlight
try.
that.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
All you can
Well,
ask
you're
for.
doing, I always like, I'm like the word try, I've been trying to remove from my vocabulary, but I think
I'm
it's,
trying to remove. You
yep,
said it
see,
again.
see, it's just like it slips off the tongue. But it's about doing, right? Like you are doing it and like each day it gets better. Some days are not as great and that's okay. And that's part of being human. That's part of experiencing different things and knowing you're doing the best you can with what you have in that moment and not beating ourselves up around it as well.
Exactly. Yeah. That's very important. And, I had to tell a client this yesterday because I could tell she was feeling kind of down on herself because she wasn't getting a lot done and she was really struggling. But at the same time, some of the things that we had implemented on our last call, she had done. And I told her, I said, listen, I get the feeling that you're wrapped up in what you feel like you should be doing right now. And what you need to be looking at is what you have done. I said, the thing is, your improvement is not going from here to here. That's not how that works. Improvement is looking at where you were and what you're doing now. And that's what the important part is. It's not like you said, it's not, well, I tried and I didn't do well. Okay, what did you do? And if you did something now that you weren't doing before, you've improved. That's the short of it. That's the fact. You've gotten better. So no, I think that's a very, very important part, a very important point. And I think, even I forget it. I think we all do because it's
Yeah.
very easy to forget. So
It is. Even the word like should, because I think a lot of people put in that word, oh, I should be doing this, or I should
yep,
be doing that,
yep.
or I should be like this other person when our brains just focus differently.
There
And
is no
that's
should.
okay.
Should would suggest, like, I mean, I don't want to say there is no should because I can hear people now. Well, it does say, like, what about the pediatrics saying that they should be doing this, or what about them saying that you should be drinking water? Yeah, obviously there are things that we should be doing. But when we're talking
Yeah.
about like personal situations, okay, no one should be waking up at a certain time. No one should be getting such and such amount of work done in a certain amount of time. It's all about what you personally have the energy and the fortitude to do. That's really all that matters in this situation. And if you don't have the energy and the fortitude to do something, guess what? You're not going to be able to do it. It's really all there is to it. Yep. Sorry.
Yep. That's what it takes. That's what it's about.
Period, point blank. There's really nothing else to add. That's just
Yeah.
how it's going to be. You don't have the energy, you're going to fall flat. You're not going to get it done. Period, point blank. So, yeah.
That just summed it up perfectly.
And we're done. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. That was the end of that. So,
Well, so I do have another question. When it comes to just what you do around productivity, what are like your top, or if you have them, like top 3 tips that you could give people when it comes to maybe being ready to hire a coach or also what things to look for? Like, I mean, you can combine the two, but.
so it was probably going to wind up being combined. The first thing that you want to be sure of is that you are ready to commit. If you are thinking, yeah, a coach would be nice, but they better not tell me what to do, because if I don't feel like doing it, I'm not doing it. Or I don't really know that I'm going to feel like putting forth the time. Now is not the time. Maybe later, but if you're not ready to commit that time, if you're not like committed inside to actually getting it done, then you're going to wind up wasting your time and your money. So that's the first thing. Make sure that you're ready for this change. You want this change to happen. That's the first thing. The second thing, when you are looking for a coach, And I am not in any way saying that you have to pick me or whatever, but please make sure that the person understands, or at least is empathetic, or at least is sympathetic to where you're coming from. Okay. I feel like a lot of people, especially when they get into that like manic mindset of like, I'm going to change everything today, they tend to try to pick people who really believe in like the tough love attitude, but like way out there, right? Like they want someone who's going to, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Okay. They really want someone who's going to kick their ass, right? Like I want someone who's going to yell at me if I don't get things done. No, you don't. No, you don't. You want someone who, if you are not going to get things done, understands why, helps you understand why, and then helps you put things in place to get past it. That's what you want. Because there is such a thing as tough love that isn't just being an abusive jerk. Like there's a difference. So that's the second thing.
Absolutely.
And then I would say that the third thing is whoever you choose, whatever you choose to do, when you go for a coach, be kind to yourself and don't expect them and don't expect yourself to get these perfect, awesome results within a ridiculously unfair amount of time. Okay. Yeah. I always tell people right off the bat, if you're going to work with me, you got to at least commit to 3 months. And frankly, I think 3 months is short, but some people, really don't have a whole lot they have to do, and they're really committed and they're kind of already halfway there, and they just got to get that extra mile, and 3 months is fine. Yeah. But it's really not fair to yourself, and frankly, not fair to the coach to expect that after you guys have had like 2 meetings, that life is just going to be 100% 180 turned around and you're going to be fixed. That's not how this works. So just be ready to see things in small increments and to celebrate the little wins, and to be ready for the wins to come small and frequent. Really, they're going to be frequent. They're just going to be small. Yeah. So those would be my 3 suggestions.
Well, thank you for those 3. And, I do think it is really about the investment, knowing that you are ready to make that commitment, because it's just even like dating, for instance, you like commit to the person first, you like test it out. And then like, once you get to that marriage piece, then it's like a commitment, like you are in it. But like with coaching too, I think it's being able to recognize that it doesn't happen overnight. Like success doesn't happen overnight either, but it is those small steps, because that's what's actually going to create that change that's going to last, versus it's not going to be one and done and everything's great. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
It's very, very important, especially for ADHDers, because we're very impatient. So I have to be like, listen, clarity. I know this is going against what you expect, but that's not going to happen right away. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Brutally honest, but you know what? We all need that. It's the reality. Well, Arianna, I've been having so much fun with you, and I have my rapid fire questions I wanted to ask you. Are you ready for them?
I am as ready as I'll ever be.
All right. The first question is, who is your hero?
I don't have one. Well, no, I take that back. Actually, I'm sorry. I thought about this the other day. Michelle Obama.
I love her. And why Michelle?
Why?
I mean, there's millions of reasons, but
there's so many. Like, we don't have time for this. No,
at least two reasons.
I would say I'll give you my number one reason. My number one reason is that this woman had some of the most hateful, disgusting things said about her, and I'm sure she saw them, and I'm sure she heard them, and I'm sure they hurt her. And despite that, she still held herself with so much poise and never let them know that they got on her nerves. And there is just so much strength to that. Like, I'm sure that she let herself be vulnerable in her own time, but when she was out there in front of those eyes, in front of the people who wanted to see her broken, she didn't let them see her break. And I love her for that.
She's a very inspiring woman. Have you read her book?
I have. She's one of the few people who, if I met her, I would embarrass myself so bad in person, like so bad. She'd never want to see me again.
I doubt
that. Okay. That's okay. No, it's okay. It's totally fine. I'd be like, I peed myself in front of Michelle Obama. So as far as I'm concerned, that was the highlight of my life. It's fine.
You left an impression then,
I did. It's all good. We're all good. She'll remember me forever. That's all that matters.
And who knows? Maybe she'll watch this.
Right? And she'll be like, no, never meeting that person. Never mind.
She might call you up. What motivates you to work hard, or to work smarter, I should say?
to work smarter.
Yeah.
My family, and I know that sounds super trite, but I want to have the energy to be able to enjoy my family, especially as they're getting older. My daughter just had a birthday yesterday. So,
Happy belated to her.
yeah, thank you. They're just getting like bigger and bigger. And I'm sure my husband's tired of me constantly being like, she's 6 and he's going to turn 8. What is this? But that's kind of, I'm realizing that time passes so quickly. So I want to be able to have the energy and the time to enjoy my family. And so working smarter means saving that energy for them.
I love that. Yes. And they definitely, I'm sure, appreciate that energy as well.
Someday. They're a little notice right now. Yeah, someday.
But once they're a little older.
Yeah.
So if you were a superhero, what would be your power or powers?
This is not deep at all. It's just the truth. Telekinesis. I want to move things with my mind, man. That's all.
Yeah.
And I know that
Someone else said that too.
Like, deep, heartfelt reason. There is none. I just want to be able to move stuff with my mind because it would be a lot of fun. That's literally it. I don't have any depth to that at all. Sorry.
You don't. No depth needed. It's cool. Like I think it's awesome.
Right? Like, just how many times when I'm bored, just moving stuff with my mind. It'd be so great. That's all I want. I just want to move things. That's it. All right. Yeah.
All right. Ready for the next one?
Yes. So ready.
Now that we're moving things.
Next question. Yeah, we're done.
If you could share a meal with any 4 individuals, living or dead, who would they be?
Well, first off, we already know it'd be Michelle Obama.
I was gonna assume. I didn't want to assume, but
Yeah, it'd be her. Gordon Ramsay would be another one. He is my other. Yeah, he's my other person who, if I met him, I would embarrass myself because I'd be like, yell at me, please. So
full effect.
Yeah, I'd be like, please. Even though he's like a super nice guy, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, I just want to be able to say you yelled at me. So I would totally have dinner with him because I figure that he would pick someplace great. I would love to have dinner with, this is going to be such a weird answer, but I've really gotten into watching a YouTuber named Markiplier lately. I'm really late to the game because he's got like 32 million followers. Like this dude's been around for years, but he plays video games for his channel, which is like, I would love to get paid to do that. And he's hilarious. And he just seems like somebody who I would be really good friends with. So I would love to have dinner with him. And then 4th person, this is going to sound super schmaltzy, but I'm going to count them as one because to me, they were always one growing up anyways. My parents, I miss them. They live in Florida and, they're only like a 2.5-hour flight away, but it's still a pretty, I still have to go through customs and immigration and stuff to see them. So I miss my parents and I would probably have dinner with them. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure with the yelling and then Michelle, then the gaming.
My parents at that part, and you're like, all right, time for my mom and dad to come in. I'm tired now. Yeah, no, totally.
They would take all the energy, the parents would bring it back.
Exactly. They'd wake me up. I'd love that.
Aw, that's beautiful. That would be a fun meal.
Oh yeah. If only you can meet my dad, then you'd know. If you like me, the saying, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Yes. I always say I just fell straight down. If you get along with me, you would like my dad, except he's just he's just an older man. That's pretty much it. So.
Well, I'm going to come to the dinner if you don't mind.
You'd have a great time. I can tell you that right now. It'd be fun had by all.
Perfect. So what is the most daring thing you've ever done?
Started my own business and failed twice. Well, I shouldn't say I failed. I gave up too quick. But starting your own business at any point is in its own way daring, because you have to learn to not be afraid to sell yourself, for what that's, I know what that sounds like, but you all know what I mean. You have to be, comfortable talking about the things that you know how to do. You have to be comfortable admitting when you're good at things, admitting when you're not good at things. And it's a lot of bravery. It really is. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm saying that for people who are watching, who have started their own business, you're brave for doing it. You should give yourself credit. That's a very daring thing to do.
You're absolutely right, because you never know what's going to happen. It's not like a set path whatsoever.
Nope. You never know. And it's like this every day. Sometimes you're like, I'm a genius. I'm terrible. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this. That's your day. Sometimes just multiple times a day. So yeah, it's a lot of power.
It does. And it's amazing that you didn't give up and you just shifted gears of which business you were doing.
Yeah. thank you.
Yeah. And so what's the phone app you use the most?
Probably. I actually play bingo on my phone a lot.
Bingo. Is it one of the like just a game bingo
Yeah,
app?
it's just like a game. Like, I don't know. I kind of have a little bit of an addiction to it. Like, I'm trying
Yeah.
to break that right now. I've spent way more money than I should have. Yeah, so probably that.
Okay.
I play bingo a lot. Yeah.
Hey, you know, you got to do what makes you happy, right?
It's a good de-stressor. What can I say?
Hey, we all need one of those.
Right?
What is the last book that you've read?
The last book I read, like all the way through.
Yeah,
Okay.
or close to it.
It would be Sorry I'm Late, I Didn't Want to Come by Jessica Pan. I was on a really good track at the start of this year to read 50 books this year. I wanted to read 50 books. And boy, did I fall off that wagon because, you know, prioritization is a thing. And it's just reading hasn't been a priority. And so it's kind of fallen off the wayside. But Jessica Pan's book was my second, and I finished it. And it's a really good book. I would suggest it. I would say it's not one of my favorites ever, but it was good. It's about a woman who is extremely introverted, and she actually decides to spend a year trying to live as an extrovert. And it's a very interesting take. She has some moments where she actually makes me laugh out loud. I would definitely suggest it for sure.
Well, I'll add that to my list then.
Yeah, I think you should. I think you'll like it.
Thank you. So if you were to have a movie about your life thus far, who would play you?
Morgan Freeman. No, I don't. So I love her, and I look nothing like her, but I just adore everything about her. And I'm sure I'm going to butcher her name because I never say it right. Lupita Nyong'o. She was in Get Out? She was in Black Panther. She is, just trust me, she's fabulous. I adore her.
I know who you're talking about, but I don't know if it's the right pronunciation. I'm going to take your word for it.
I'm pretty sure I said it wrong. I guarantee you I did. And she probably, if she ever sees this, she will hate me from here on out because I still haven't gotten a hold of how to say it, but I adore her. Like, it's so weird to love someone whose name I can't even pronounce correctly. But if I had the choice, her or Zazie Beetz. Who played Domino in Deadpool 2, she's played other things, but that goes to show what my tastes are in movies, because Deadpool 2 is one of my favorite movies ever, and she was Domino, and I adore her. So one of those two, probably.
Well, it would be a great movie. I'm sure it'd be very lively as well. Very action filled.
A lot of swearing. Yeah.
Hey, you know,
be a great movie. I'd watch it. Obviously, it's about my life.
Obviously. So what is your favorite family recipe, if you have one, or one that you make as a family?
My grandmother's, rest her soul, macaroni and cheese, baked macaroni and cheese was a staple every Thanksgiving and Christmas. And she would make it for me on my birthday. And it is my favorite thing in the entire world. It is rich as all get out. And I have started to kind of get to be a little lactose intolerant. But with that, if somebody was to present me with it, made the way that my grandmother used to make it, I would eat it and suffer the consequences later every time. It's just the best thing ever. It's like 2 types of cheese, and it's baked in the oven until like the top is crisp, and so good. My favorite.
I mean, the crispy part. That's what gets me.
My mother used to get mad at me because literally what I would do is just eat the top.
Like, forget the bottom.
Yeah, I was like, you guys can all have that. I just want the crunch. That's all I want. I was that person. Yeah. So.
Well, it's worth it, right?
So good. Oh my God. No regrets.
I'm glad. So if you had to describe yourself as an animal, what animal would you describe yourself as?
Tiger, because it's my favorite animal, and also because every time I go to the zoo, they're sleeping. So I'm imagining that we must be on the same wavelength, because that would also be me. If people would come to visit me 18 hours out the day, I'd be asleep. Like that's if I had my way and I had nothing else to do, that's literally just sleep, eat, and play with boxes full of hay. That would be me. And I just realized that I also said I would play with boxes of hay, and I could change that, but I'm not going to. So we'll just stay with that. I would also do
Stay
that.
with it.
Yeah, why not? We'll run with it.
Anything goes.
Yeah.
So what if you're having just like an off day? What is the thing that makes it instantly better?
Um, this is going to be very broad, but I baby the feeling. And basically what that means is if I'm having an off day and I'm not feeling good and I really just can't anymore, I do what I can to make it so that I have the time to call my day off early. And I try to sit and do things that bring me joy for no other reason than they bring me joy. That could be, watching YouTube videos. It could be coloring. I've really gotten into color by numbers on the iPad. It's great because it's like quick enough and my arms and hands don't get tired from having to do this a whole bunch. So, that's basically what I do when I'm having a bad day. I allow myself to acknowledge that I'm having a bad day. I allow myself to acknowledge those negative feelings and I baby those feelings.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Acknowledge it and then do something fun. Do what brings you joy. That's what it's about.
If you ignore it, that I had a therapist who, when I first got diagnosed with ADHD, she was amazing at that. And she would basically be like, if you're feeling tired today, then, acknowledge that. Be good to that, because like if you ignore it, all you're going to do is get more tired and more frustrated, and I live by that.
Well, sounds like a smart lady to give that space.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite way to spend a day off? So if you don't have any clients and it's just like maybe the kids are off too, or maybe they're at school, but what do you like to do for like your favorite day?
Depends on how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
If it's a low energy day, it's basically what I just described to you. Sit in bed, watch videos, only get out of bed to like, and this is of course assuming that the kids are like at school, whatever. Only get out of bed to like go to the bathroom, and then other than that I'm or in eating obviously, and then other than that I'm watching videos, I'm coloring, I'm reading if I can, like just stuff that I want to do. If I'm feeling more up to it, I tend to prefer going on walks or writing, and it doesn't have to be any particular writing with a purpose. It's more writing just because I like to. So sometimes it'll be something really stupid and short that no one ever sees. Sometimes it'll be like a song that's in my head that no one ever hears, but it's more just to get to have fun and be creative for myself. And those are really, like I said, it kind of depends on where my energy level is, but I'll usually do one of those two things.
Well, both days sound great because it's tuning into your energy and managing that energy too of what you need in that moment. Awesome. It is, right? So what is something an outsider wouldn't know about your industry? Like for what you do?
Oh my God, so many things. That they wouldn't know how my industry is different. Like, I shouldn't say my corner of the industry. Like if we're just talking about the productivity industry, kind of going back to what I said earlier, I don't think that many people understand that productivity is as much about your brain and how your brain works as it is what you do. I think a lot of people still tie my industry and what people like me do, neurodivergent or otherwise, I think they tie it too much to, just putting in new routines or just putting in new habits, without realizing that those new routines and those new habits aren't going to stick unless the brain that they're connected to wants them to. So I would say that that's probably the biggest thing, is that people don't understand that.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think people do understand that, but now they will.
Good, because
as they hear this, as they should, right?
As they should. Important.
I've been having such a fun time with you today. I don't want it to end, but for the sake of time, we're going to. But before I let you go, let people know where they can find you, how they can hire you, and everything will be below in the links as well.
Okay, so if you want to follow me, it's really simple. You can either go to YouTube and find me there. My name there is Arianna Bradford. My channel is called How to Get Shit Done Without Losing Your Mind. And the link will be in the description anyway, so don't bother memorizing that link if you want to. You can also follow me on Instagram under the Arianna Bradford, 2 N's. You can follow me on TikTok under ADHD Prod. And if you want to hire me, you can just go to my website. It's theariannabradford.com. Click on the coaching link. And if you want to read more about what's involved, then that's already there. If you feel like you're ready to work with me, then all you got to do is scroll down to where it says set up an appointment and set up your appointment.
Awesome. Well, I hope people got a lot from this because I know I did. I always learn something new every time I get to interview phenomenal women like yourself. And thank you so much for taking the time today to be on here. And I know I've had a blast, and I hope everyone watching did. Let us know what you took away the most from this interview. If you learned something new, or your favorite tip that Arianna gave, please put it below. So thank you
so much for having me. No, I mean, please go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say thank you for being on again.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And, honestly, this is probably going to be a very tight circle because I'll probably have you on with me on Instagram again. So this will not be the last time we see each other, and this probably won't be the last time that people see my face. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Well, thank you everyone, and make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below, and we'll see you on the next video.